Alright, hi all. So this is going to be the first devlog video, and I'll be covering the newer version of Storyteller 2019.3, not released yet, and also the new Gamebridge 2019.1, also not released yet. And again, yes, this is the first devlog video, and I'll just be covering this version of Storyteller here. So what I'm going to be doing here, I'm going to be speaking to a couple of these NPCs, and we're going to be using the Gamebridge's character component in speaking to these NPCs. And I'll be showing you how you can make use of Storyteller and pushing data over into your scene data and using it directly inside of your game. It's going to be quite easy. There's absolutely no coding involved, and all source code for Gamebridge is going to be available, and you're going to be getting not only these characters but a bunch of other characters and environments, all high quality, just for you to see how you can create nice compelling dialogues using Storyteller and Gamebridge. So there are two components currently. There's the dialoguer and the character component. The dialoguer is used for more linear type situations where you like a dating scene, for example, where you know exactly which character you're going to be speaking to next. However, in the case of an RPG type game where you can speak to character B before you speak to character A, that dialogue flow is not so linear. So you need a special type of component that can handle that kind of dialogue, and that's what this character component is for. And I'll be showing you how to set that up and how to use all of that. And I'll see if I can do that as quickly as I can and go into as much detail as I can without anything being confusing. Alright, let's go into Storyteller. So a lot of you know that this is what the Storyteller looks like, and now there's been a couple of changes. One quick thing, you now have a quick tips menu in the upper right. This little orange bulb here gives you little tips on how to use various functions in Storyteller. Shift forward and shift back is for going to the next or previous scenes. So we can just go shift forward or shift back to go to different scenes. We can use shift plus left click to do quick node creation. And we also have this new visuals, if I can say the word correctly, visualization for our flow of our story, actually. So if we switch this route here, we can see the flow of our story visualized. By default, it actually moves a bit. It moves slow, and you're actually seeing how quickly it's repainting, because we just don't repaint too quickly since these aren't actually doing much, just sitting there. Alright, so we also have escape. So I figure many persons didn't realize that you can close some menus by hitting escape. So if you open your projects window, you just hit escape to close that, or if you're going to file new, you can hit escape to close that. Alright, now we have a scene here. We have three scenes. So let's go to our scenes. We have 1, 2, 3 scenes. One completely useless scene. Well, not completely useless, just not going to be used here. Where we're dating sim scene, NPC walk up, and that thing. So we have 6 characters. We have 1 player and 5 NPCs. And our player can determine which of these NPCs he wants to speak to. Just like we see the interactions here in the timeline, we want those same type of interactions to happen in game, but not all at once, as you can see them here. We want them one by one. So to make that happen, we're going to push this scene data into our scene data asset. Now all of these characters here are using a scene data asset, and once a scene data asset is assigned to it, we're going to specify what block of data each of these characters will be using. So for example, this player character is going to be using all of this player data, while all of our NPC1 character here is going to be using all of this NPC1 data. And every single one of these characters are all reading from the same NPC walk-up scene data here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this, delete my entire data set, just to show you how easy it is to set up. And first I'm going to show you what not to do. So let's go ahead and right click, and let's go to Game Bridge, and let's create a new scene data, NPC walk-up. Alright, don't do this. Don't just go ahead and drag your scene data into your into the characters scene data area, because then you're going to get a bunch of errors. Because what's happening here is that, as I mentioned before, you want to assign this block of character data to this player, this block of player data to this player. However, we haven't yet pushed any of the scene data into this scene data asset. It's completely empty, so then you're going to end up with these errors. And I don't think I'm going to change this. I'm just going to leave that there so that you can see the error. So easy way to fix this: select the NPC walk-up data, and as I showed you before, select your scene, click push, fixed. Now we're just going to clear this because we don't like seeing that error. Alright, and now we can tell the character what data set it needs to use. So we want our player to use player, and just to point out here, I'm just going to call this NPC cabbage. Alright, that's not what the name should be, but let's show you what happens. So if we assign our scene data to it, and let's select this should be NPC1. If we had an empty game object like a cube or whatever character you have, as soon as you assign your scene data and click setup, it renames it to match your character. So that's something you need to remember when you're assigning and setting up your characters. Let's click setup for the player also. So that's all you need to do. You need to just drag in your scene data, select what character you want, and then click setup, and that's it. Now let's go to NPC3. Let's all do this a bit faster here. So it's NPC3 setup, NPC4 setup, and NPC5 setup. All right. Oh, and also one more thing for our player character. So as you know that our player is the one who determines what route he chooses, right? So that gives the player control over all these NPCs essentially. He can determine who he speaks to and what choices he makes in the dialogue. So to follow suit, we need to give our player some power. So let's give him dominion over all the other characters. So if we go ahead and we select our player character here, and we make sure that we have our player selected in the hierarchy, and if we look in the inspector, we'll see our player, and it's going to say that it's not player, turn on player. By turning on the player, you basically tell the GameBridge character component that this particular character is going to have control over what routes can be chosen. Generally, that's really what it means. And it's important not to make the rest of them player. Do not do that. Just make your player be the player. Now, as you would expect, whichever node you select inside the Storyteller, you see all their settings displayed inside of the inspector. So that's That's a given. That just works right off the bat as you'd expect it. And each of them has their own settings. So this adds a whole lot of depth and functionality to your game. So you can choose to have a variety of conditions and functions be processed and conditions be triggered. So let's go to the game now. Let's run this scene. And the first thing that we're going to want to do is speak to this NPC. So let's go back to Storyteller here and let's find out who we're speaking to. We're speaking to NPC 5. So let's bring this up for you. Highlight these. Open this up. Let's go to NPC 5. So when we're speaking to this NPC, he's going to say that he has a clock that can rewind time. So he's going to see that he has a clock that can rewind time, and presumably he's going to rewind the time without us knowing a thing. And we're going to get confused and angry and walk away from him. So that's the gist of it. So let's see what happens. So he says, "Hey kid," and the player says, "Hi there. Check this out. This clock can rewind the time. No way, show me. No way, show me." And then the NPC presses a button on the clock. Now, this is an action, and you don't want a text to represent your character's action. So this is at NPC 5. So let's go to Storyteller. Let's right click on, we can easily find nodes now in the timeline by, we can left click on the characters to find the characters, or we can right click on the nodes in the timeline to find them. So let's go here to where he presses the button on the clock. Go to the game, press his button on the clock. Let's go to Storyteller here. So here we're going to select NPC 5. And because if we don't want a text to be displayed, then what we can do here is, if you have an animation of your character actually pressing a button on a clock, then you could trigger that animation using the condition system. So what you'd want to do for this particular scenario is, for example, let me pause this. You'd want to add an event here, and then say auto start, turn on the automatic start. So one of this particular data is being processed. Pushes button on the clock is being processed, as you can see here in the Storyteller. Whenever that's being processed, then the auto start function is going to be processed, and then we can just trigger whatever function we have here. If that function leads to an animation being played of the NPC pressing a button on a clock, then you can actually trigger that. But we don't have any such thing right now, so let's just continue. And just like that, we've now traveled through time. Now, what's really interesting here is that this is not a duplicate conversation. So usually what you have is the text written twice, or the script written twice to illustrate the travel through time. But what we do is we actually do it here. So if you're going to Storyteller, we can see that this dialogue literally only happens once, and we actually move the dialogue through time to start it over at a different point in time. So Storyteller actually uses time, as is explained before. It's time based, so everything's time based, which makes development a little bit more difficult, but it's worth it, as you can see here. So it says this clock can rewind time, and the player says, "No way, show me," and then this happens. I already have So to the player, absolutely nothing has changed except for the entire dialogue branches now changed. So you can consider this as being a split in time. So you travel through time here. Whenever you go through time and change something in time, you end up coming out at a different place in time, somewhere else. And then you can have as many branches as you want going on forever and ever. Well, not literally forever, but you can have as many branches going on as you want. You can travel through time as many times as you want and have different changes happen. But this is just a simple example. And there's some limits to assumed limits that you have when you're dealing with time travel inside Storyteller. For example, there's some time travel methods that I haven't tried yet, so there may be some bugs if you go crazy with the time loops, but I haven't seen any yet. But I'll keep trying and see if I can find some. However, back to the game, he says I already have. And then the player says what? And then goodbye, clearly angry because he didn't see anything happen, but something did. All right, so let's. I don't think we've spoken to this character yet. All right, let's go back and speak to this guy. I think we did at the beginning. So this is a vendor NPC. This would be a vendor NPC. So it's going to start off by the NPC waving to us, and again, this would represent an action here. So if you go to NPC 1, you see it starts off with an action node here. So if you have an animation that can represent the NPC waving, then you'd want to go ahead and have that be triggered here. But we're not gonna do that since I don't have any animations of him waving. Let's go to the game. It says, hi, what can I do you for? And then you say either I need all your magic potions, healing potion please, or never mind, I'll come back later. Maybe you don't want to have this text. So what do you do if you don't want to have this text here? All right, let me just end this and show you. So let's go to our player, and again we're speaking to NPC 1. He says I need all the magic potions, never mind, I'll come back later. All right, let's go ahead and select this route. Let's select the player, and let's turn on alternate route titles. And then we see that we have 3 different text areas here. So the very first one, if we've done this correctly, this should be 0, 1, 2. So let's see, all magic potions, healing potion, or never mind. So we're going to take these 3 texts and have them replace these instead of the route, instead of the option to choose a route. If only this guy could run faster. Or just run. Alright, so here we go. Waves, what can we do for? Now we have this alternate route titles that we can use. So let's get all the magic potions. I says I need all the magic potions. Well, I'll be darned, it looks like I'll be selling out quick today. You sure as hell will. Which tier potions would you like? And again, you can change the route titles. Say, I'm gonna say give me the god tier potions, cause god tier potions. Give me the god tier potions. Coming right up. It says what you plan on hunting, the gods that live up in them, their mountains. And let's see, that's for me to know, or usual, just a little more than usual. Let's pick one, this one. NPC 1 says okay, got it. Just be careful out there, kid. Hear you. Yes, anyway, here you go, kid. All 85 potions. That will be 590 gold, but I will give you a discount for helping me sell out. 550 gold, not much of a discount. Great, thank you. Here you go, 550 gold. Now there's another function that I'm going to be adding here. So what if you're creating your game and you don't want, and you decide that the type of currency that you use in your game isn't gold anymore but silver, then you're going to be able to, well, you can already do a find and replace text. So if you right click, you can go to Windows, find and replace, find all instances of gold and replace it with silver, and it will find them and replace them. But what if we're dealing with something that we want to have dynamically changed in game, like a character's name? So if you're speaking to your, let's assume that this is a multiplayer game and you want to refer to your someone in your party by name, then you can have what we're working on now. Let's see if we can find this here to show you. Keyword filters. So you can have a filter for some keywords. So anywhere where your party's name would appear, you can have a keyword filter represent that character's name. And then you can enter your character's name to replace that keyword filter at runtime, so you'd see your character's name in there. All right, let's just continue here. All right, so that's the end of that. And this is the I think I'm just going to speak to this last NPC. This one's kind of similar to this guy, so I'm just going to go to this guy. So this NPC is presumably a bartender serving oil, I assume. And let's check our stats here. So let's select the player and let's see. So we have two other components on our player, example condition 2 and example condition 1. On example condition 1, our health is 90, good. It says glove, don't know what a glove is for. It says can drink, and it seems as if we can't drink. So what happens if we walk up to the bartender when our status is can't drink? All right, let's see here. It just says leave. All right, and the quick leave is not actually what should happen here. Let's walk onto that. All right, so this is actually what should happen. The leave there is highly likely, well, definitely a bug, but not a major bug, seeing as there are no errors being thrown. So I'm going to look into that. And now let's see here, it says sorry, you're not at the legal drinking age, you need to leave. And now we can actually leave. Right, there we go. And now we've left. Now, we actually wanted to drink, didn't we? We're gonna go talk to him again, but let's do something more fun this time. If he tells us to leave the next time, we're gonna drop a block on his head. So let's create a cube. Let's I don't want to have to walk all the way over to him, so just grab this player. There we go. Game object, 3D object, cube. Come on, cube. Let's put the cube here. Nah, a little bit higher. Yeah, maximum impact. And let's add a rigid body to this and turn off use gravity. Let's go to the player and let's see here. If he tells us to leave, we're just going to drop the cube on him. So this is that's actually is NPC 3, not 5. Let's go to NPC 3. Switch these off, go to NPC 3. Let's see, as soon as he tells us to leave, we're going to drop the cube on him. So let's select NPC3 and let's set this up. So I'm just gonna add here cube. Rigid body, and see use gravity is where. There we go. True. And let's use auto start. So as soon as he tells us to leave, well, he's gonna seal his own fate here. If he tells us to leave, he's gonna get a cube in the head. Alright, that should work. But let me quickly check something. That little bug I'd mentioned earlier, we just were told to leave. Alright, so let's work on that later. Run the scene and let's see what happens here. Like, I want to see this. Let's make the cube a little bit bigger. Maximum impact. Yeah. Alright, so you're not at legal drinking age. You need to leave. Bam. He's dead. That's what you get for not giving me drinks. Up. Gotta complete this. Alright, completed. Alright, let's do something different now. Let's just move this cube. Let's see if he'll give us drinks this time. So let's see, can drink is gonna be true. Alright, so I had to restart that scene, because the recording got messed up. Alright, so where were we? We were about to get drinks, so we set our players can drink status to true. Let's see. Welcome, what would you like? One cold glass of milk. Coming right up. Wimp. What did you say? Look up. It says don't. It should say don't. One thing I can't get is spell check. We can do it outside of Storyteller. Okay, there. I think it needs some coffee. Sure. Prepares coffee. Here you go. Alright, and then good. Closes. So that covers that. Let's see if there's anything else that I forgot to mention. Oh, yes, I did. So let's select the player here. About the UI. So you're seeing this stage canvas user interface. Oh, actually, I don't need to run the scene for this. Let's turn on stage canvas here. Now we have a name area, a dialog area, and we have our forward and back buttons. And you can actually use any UI you want. You just design your UI however you want to design it, place it however you want to place it. And the only thing that the GameBridge character component wants is a reference to where you're gonna put your text, where you're gonna put the dialogue, where you're gonna put your name, actually name text, where you're gonna put your dialogue text, what are the forward and back buttons. And later on, the forward and back buttons aren't going to be so much so required. It's going to be optional in future updates, but right now which just requires them right now. However, all the source code is included, so you can change that if you want. Alright, so on player here, let's actually show you where this is. So we have a fold out here called general settings for all nodes. If you unfold it, you'll see that we have a name UI area where we put our name UI. We have a dialog text area where we put this. So let's go into the scene to show you this. So I actually just assign these components to wherever they need to go here. Remember, we just turn on use text, so we know that we're going to be using text. And we assign our next and our previous buttons here, these two buttons, next and previous. And then we assign our route button, which is actually a prefab. Important point. So this route buttons actually require a prefab because we do not know how many routes you're going to have. You can have 4 or 5, 6 or 7 different routes, and the route button system actually uses a pooling method. So whenever you generate your route buttons at runtime, they're not destroyed. We keep them, and if you move on to a different route that has less buttons, we only use the count of the new routes and generate the matching number of route buttons for you. If you have more routes, then we just generate the extra routes that you need, extra route buttons that you need. And one thing that it requires is a route parent. And you're gonna get this example scene, so you'll see this. So we have this route button parent, and whenever your route buttons are generated, they get generated under this. And it's important that they get generated as child objects of this route button parent. Later on, you can do this however you want to do it. I mean, even right after you get the beta, you can edit code to change this entire setup, so you don't need the route button parent if you want. So UI setup is actually quite easy. There's not much to that. Just design whatever UI you want. As for how we actually get the system to know which character we're speaking to, it's each of these colored pieces of square here has a NPC trigger on them. And really what this script does, if you select it here, actually the player itself, when the player walks into this square, it reads its data. It reads that, okay, this is we've just walked up to NPC 3, so let's have a conversation with NPC 3. It's really that simple. If you select this one, you see that this one says NPC 2, so let's have a conversation with NPC 2. It's actually quite simple. You can take a look at the code here. So if we have this code on NPC trigger is actually quite short. We just have the character and whether or not this character has been added to a list of characters that we're going to be speaking to. But on player, the player trigger is where most of the functions that determine who we're speaking to is actually processed on the player trigger. And again, you can go ahead and take a look at this. So 2 more weeks until this one is sent to the assets, sent to Unity for review. Alright, so that's it for this video. I don't think there's anything that I forgot to cover. Alright, that's just a brief update. Alright, so thanks for watching.